So this is the latest in a slew of controversies for Platner, who's still leading in the polls against Republican Susan Collins. But what do you make of his response? I mean, a lot of people are suggesting, is this really the best candidate to win in the general election, not in the primary election, but in the general against Susan Collins?
Well, Vlad, a few things. One, in order for Graham Platner to win, this needs to be a referendum on Susan Collins. And what has happened over the last few weeks, really since Janet Mills, his previous Democratic opponent who suspended her campaign in the primary, ever since she stepped out of the race, Platner, the response to this and other allegations, I think has allowed this to become a referendum on him. And so Maine voters are not judging whether Susan Collins let them down, whether Susan Collins is the right person to represent them, but whether Graham Platner is fit for office. If the race stays in that zone, it is not good for Graham Platner. And what I would say is his specific response to some of these allegations has been very D.C. focused. He came to meet with Chuck Schumer, the Senate Democratic leader, Kristen Gillibrand, the leader of the Senate Democratic campaign arm. And that response feels very D.C. coded for a candidate who's very working class coded. And so what I would recommend as a political strategy matter, if Graham Platner wants to get out of the morass that he's in right now, he's got to get back in front of voters. And I do think that the campaign plans to pivot to do that.
Joel, I mean, there's a lot of time between the primary and the general election, right? November feels like a year away almost. And you said that if it stays in this realm, this could be really problematic for him. We're going to expect a lot of digging to happen between now and then. So at what point does this become the wrong candidate for Democrats to win in the general?
Look, I have a theory on this. I think that voters have told us they will accept flawed, imperfect candidates who have complicated and, frankly, pretty sordid past if it goes to the brand of that candidate, if it goes to who they know them to be. Now, what Platner has never done, he has never sold himself to be a choir boy. He's never said, I lived a perfect life. What he has said is he's a fighter, he comes from those communities, and he understands what their experience is. If Platner can convince voters that what they're hearing about him now is actually not the real Graham Platner, and the real Graham Platner is who he's presented on the campaign trail over the last 6 months or so, he can get out of this. If voters believe they were being sold a bill of goods and they were being misled, that's a bad place for Platner to be.